Hello, I am coming in with a hopefully short video on why AI cannot do astrological calculations and why there are just so many errors when you're trying to just do an AI search for your chart. Some people even think it's like, it's the poor man's astrology. I can just pop it into AI. And I'm not saying this because I'm an astrologer and say, hey, only see people for like to try to get money, right? Because I'm not looking for new clients. I'm not looking to sell any courses. But I do get clients and people constantly sending me messages about what they saw on AI. And instead of me just, you know how some people like don't read the book or don't watch the movie and make comments, or like they see a post and they just see the headline and they make comments without reading it. I'm not really big team AI, disclosure, but I felt like I couldn't really make comments without seeing what happens. So I went and I tried it. And I was originally going to give you like a whole bunch of examples of like the inaccuracies, which were stunning and every time and over and over. But then you know what? Go check yourself. Type in some stuff, cross-check and see it for yourself. Like, don't take my word. This is my experience. I know you're going to find the same thing, but I'd feel better if you found it for yourself. So it's true for you, not just because somebody said it to you. So, disclosure, really quick. Well, actually, what I'm going to do today is I will share why there's so many inaccuracies when it comes to degrees, times, placements, all of that, why AI just can't handle it. And then also why, when you're looking for things on AI, like you just want to find out, well, hey, how is this particular transit going to affect me? Why it really can't do that either. So it's going to be two parts, not really two parts, but that's kind of the order of how it's going to go. I'm not going to fix and edit this video, so I might be a little bit, it's not going to be like quick and choppy as if I spent time editing it. This is just me free flowing. And then who I am, real quick, why I feel like I can even say this. I am an astrologer. I do see clients. I teach from time to time. I do predictive astrology. If people are looking to pick certain dates, it's called electional astrology. I do that. I work with the moons and the phases and all of that. I mostly use whole sign houses, Hellenistic astrology, but I look at a lot of things. And so I do this. I do this professionally. And before I came to this, I was also, or I used to be, I'm an adjunct professor. So my former thing was that. And I was really good. And I'm also an editor. I used to do, I used to write and publish and stuff. I can spot, having been so used to seeing plagiarism in papers and being able to spot stuff and being an editor, I can tell when there's a tone shift and where something's not quite right. And so I can see when stuff is sort of being made up and put together. Like that's something I see. And I can see that with some of the responses from AI, and that's why I can call it out. And I know I'm not saying the thing yet, and you can click off if you want. You don't have to keep watching, but the thing is you don't know what you don't know. Think of whatever you're good at. Think of anything you're good at. If you went and asked AI and it gave you a false response, you could spot it. But then think of something you're not good at, you're not going to know that it's not the correct response. So anyway, that's kind of who I am, why I'm saying this stuff. And then I want to get to the example, and I'm going to screen share for this part, what AI said. So again, like I said, instead of just being the person like throwing shade on AI without actually doing it, I asked AI, like, why are your answers wrong all the time? And I'm going to show you, I'll show you the screen. You don't have to like watch the screen. I'm just going to show you what it said. I'll read it real quick. And that should be about it. Okay, here we are. Hopefully you can see the screen. And part of the question, it says, I have also found AI to be consistently inaccurate when I ask it for very specific planetary degrees in astrology, more. But I think this is a pretty good reply. So again, I'm not a big AI user. I turn off AI responses for search settings because I see how inaccurate it is. And I always click on the sources and I never find what AI gave me in the sources. So, but this is what it said. And I think this is pretty good though. It says astrology calculations are the absolute ultimate kryptonite for standard AI models. You are seeing notable mistakes because calculating planetary degrees requires exact real-time spatial mathematics, which completely breaks an AI's text prediction programming. Here is exactly why AI consistently fails at astrology, followed by the only way to get accurate data. Number one, The ephemeris data is a massive math problem. To find an exact planetary degree, for example, Saturn at 1422 Pisces, a human or software must look at ephemeris, a massive, highly complex astronomical table tracking the exact geometric coordinates of celestial bodies relative to Earth at a specific second in time. The AI flaw: AI models cannot dynamically look up or compute these massive math grids in their heads. Instead, AI tries to guess the degree based on random astrology charts it reads on the internet during its training. It is essentially pulling a random, confident-sounding number out of thin air. 2. Time zones and house systems break the code. Astrology requires precise location coordinates, accounting for historical daylight saving time changes and applying mathematical projection formulas like Placidus or Cook to divide the sky into houses. The AI flaw: AIs are notoriously terrible at calculating time zone shifts and geographic geometry. If you ask an AI for a specific birth chart degree, it will completely mess up the math, resulting in planets being placed in the wrong signs or houses entirely. Number 3, and I think this is across the board for everything, not just calculations, but even when you want to go in and ask, what does this mean in my chart? Number 3, pop astrology pollution. Because AIs learn from the internet, they are deeply polluted by the sheer volume of generic pop astrology blogs. The AI mixes up actual astronomical calculations with vague internet descriptions of zodiac traits, blending facts with filler text. Ding, 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 ding. This is why using astrology full stop, or using AI full stop for your astrology or astrological chart, it just doesn't work. So here in this too, it says how to force AI to give accurate astrology degrees. I have a lot of videos here on this channel, and that's what this channel is really meant for, is how to find specific data using astroseek.com, occasionally astro.com, but that's really the bulk of this channel. And so I do have videos, and if there's any other videos that I can make to help you find the correct stuff, I am happy to help. You can just let me know. So how to force AI to give accurate astrology degrees. If you want to use AI for astrology without getting garbage data, you have to use a prompt that forces it to use a real astronomical calculator, a Python interpreter, instead of its own memory. Copy and paste this exact template when asking for degrees. I need the exact planetary degrees for date, time, city, state. Do, all caps, not guess or use your text memory. Run a Python script using an astronomical library like Flatlib to calculate the exact tropical positions of the planets. Provide the exact degrees in minutes. If you cannot run a real astronomical calculation script, state clearly that you cannot do the math. Best alternative? Honestly, even with that prompt, this is AI, it's highly recommended to completely bypass AI for calculations. Use a dedicated, trusted software like astro.com or astroseek. Let the software do the flawless mathematical calculation. And then, well, and then it says paste it into AI if you want help to interpret, but that's part 2. So hopefully I can do that really quick too. So I'm gonna pause for a second. Okay, so this is going to be the final bit of someone who doesn't love AI using AI to explain why not to use. Because you know what? So a lot of people love AI. And so if I'm just saying don't use it and throwing shade, there'll be like, whatever, you just don't like it. But okay, here's what AI says. And so the last bit too. So if you're trying to do stuff with planets, also keep in mind, so some of the things it says is what you run into is, as an AI, I don't know things the way a human does. I predict based on patterns. When you ask a question, several systemic flaws in how AIs are built cause incorrect replies. One is pattern matching trap. So it just, it latches on. It says it latches onto the most common statistical pattern and confidently hands them to you. Number 2, confident hallucination and pleasing the user. AIs are programmed to be helpful assistants. And because of this, their default behavior is to give you an immediate solution rather than saying, I don't know, or that's actually impossible. The next one, oh, and then it says AI confidently generates instructions that look highly technical and correct, but are completely useless for what you're looking for. It prioritizes looking helpful over being factually accurate. Lack of true contextual awareness. The flaw, AIs have very short-term memory window and no real-world logic. They treat each prompt as a text matching puzzle to solve. The result, it takes multiple rounds of you pushing back, saying, no, you are wrong, before you can even get close to something. And why many users don't realize it. For many people use AI for topics they know nothing about, like coding, medical symptoms, complex history, or astrology. Because the AI writes with absolute confidence, uses perfect grammar, and organizes everything into neat bullet points, it looks incredibly authoritative. Most users take the answer at face value, try it, and if it doesn't work, they get confused and assume they did something wrong rather than realizing AI gave them a hallucinated or irrelevant guide. So I don't know if this sways anything or anybody. At the very least, it's not going to give you the calculations. I did it over and over and over again for planetary hours, for degrees when something was going to go exact. It told me about we're going to have two Venus retrogrades in 1 year. It doesn't do that. So I practiced it out a few times again because I was tired of just being the person who says don't listen to it, it's wrong, without actually doing it myself to show you how wrong and I'm not showing you, do it for yourself, but cross check. You'll see that it doesn't catch everything, and keep all of these things in mind. It is just grabbing, like it said itself, from like pop astrology pollution and training on charts that have nothing to do with what you're asking. So you do you, ultimately. Ultimately, you do you. But I just wanted to share for some people who really, really just wish it could work and really like trying to think it could be just as simple as popping it into AI and I can bypass an astrologer. I could learn astrology this way. I can understand what's happening this way. And then the final thing to take into account, it's never just one transit. So also keep that in mind. We sometimes we just look at, oh, it's Saturn is doing such and such. Cool. Saturn might be doing something, but whether you do traditional or modern astrology, there are 6 to 9 other planets going on, interacting and having conversations. So it's more than just one planet. There's a lot of synthesis going on, and time lords, and just so much that's happening. And it can't just do it. So anyway, there's my 2 cents, my public service announcement for today.